Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Direct Insurance Podcast, otherwise known as DIP, a podcast for independent insurance agents. I'm your host. My name is Kelsey. I am the digital marketing assistant here at IAD, as well as the social media strategist. And today I have two very special guests with me today. Here I have Lisa Wynn from the Wynn Agency, and I also have Dan Greer, aka Dan the Man, Insurance, etc. Guys, go ahead and introduce yourselves. Tell us a little bit about you. Tell us what product line you sell, how long you've been in the industry, and stuff like that.
Okay, my name is Lisa Wynn. My agency is Wynn Agency. I'm located in Bridgeport, Michigan. I've been in the industry about 10 years now, and my agency has been slowly growing over that time, probably more so the last few years. One of the things that's important to me is to educate my clients and agents as they come in. Education is very key to me. And so I feel like that sets me apart, that I'm always focused on educating.
Perfect. Awesome. So Dan, tell the audience a little bit about you. What sort of product lines do you sell? How long have you been in the industry?
Well, thanks for having me on today with you, Kelsey. And hi, Lisa. Good to see you, my friend. I'm Dan Greer, located in Jackson, Michigan. I've been in this business now going on 9 years and couldn't be more blessed to be in this business. I recently named my business. We'll talk about that more later. I was operating as Daniel Greer for a couple years there. And so I'm now known as Dan the Man, Insurance, etc. I have a different approach. I'll be your advisor. I'll be your teacher. I'll be your coach. Your quality of life is my career. Have insurance questions? Call Dan Greer.
I love it.
Mostly I help folks with their Medicare, but I also do some health insurance for under 65-year-olds and a variety of other what we call ancillary products. I enjoy this so much. I'm very, very blessed and thank the Lord for it.
Awesome. Okay. Well, guys, before we dip into some insurance, let's go ahead and talk about a little bit about social media. So social media, obviously, as most of you guys know, especially those of you out there listening, is kind of a powerhouse in regards to marketing, because there are a lot of people that are on social media and they use social media for a lot of different reasons. Either it's because they're keeping up with friends and family, or they're using it to shop, or they might even be using it as a means of a search engine. So as opposed to looking up something on Google, they're looking up stuff on YouTube. They're looking it up on Facebook, they're looking it up on TikTok, and they're looking for information on the questions that they might have. And there are lots of insurance agents that are kind of really trying to get in on this social media marketing sort of like bandwagon. And there are lots of agencies that are offering these types of services, but they might not be getting quite the results that they're looking for. And they might even be potentially wasting their money. And as you guys know, as independent agents, your business is it's all just you. You know, you might have other industry professional partners or other people that you might work with, but as an independent agent, you're kind of just the one man or the one woman show. So it can be very difficult to justify spending any amount of money on marketing when, is this going to actually profit my business? What is this going to do for me? And unfortunately, a lot of agents have had pretty negative experiences with other social media marketing companies or people that are offering agents these social media marketing services. And unfortunately, these agents are getting ripped off with these social media marketing services as well. So let's go ahead and dip into some insurance. So the problem is that, again, like I said, agencies are offering the service for social media marketing. And it's a problem because we're all trying to find new ways to generate leads in today's world. And as the world progresses and as we move more towards digital form of leads generation, agents are looking for new ways to reach these online audiences. And they're moving away from these really expensive lead lists. I mean, granted, some of them are still doing like those nice, like expensive lead drops, but they're really finding that they're getting a lot more bang for their buck as far as like free social media, like lead generation, by just being able to showcase their personal brand on social media. So Lisa, I know that we had kind of talked very briefly a couple weeks back about your experience with some of these other social media marketing services provided by either agencies or just by individuals in general who knew a lot about social media marketing. Tell me a little bit about your experience with these agencies. So were they specific to Medicare or the insurance industry in general?
So the thing is, a lot of the people and agencies that I've had work for me doing social media in the past, they were not specific to insurance. So a lot of times, for example, I can tell you a few examples that were frustrating to me. For one thing, insurance can get into politics, especially as far as it comes to health insurance lately. And a lot of people are very emotional when it comes to how they feel about politics and what they think should be happening. And at the end of the day, my agency's job is not to have an opinion. It's just to state the facts. Here's the rules. Here's what we offer. And so whenever posts are made that have, like, even when you get into the, like, let's say someone posted an article for me, but the person writing that article was very slanted in their political opinion. When people read that article, they're going to assume that that's my political stance. And I didn't really want politics on my page. Another issue that I've had is Medicare. There's a lot of regulation when it comes to Medicare. And if you do not have your Medicare posts approved by CMS, you can get in a lot of trouble. So even whenever I explain these things, I think sometimes people don't really know what it means. And so whenever I look at posts that have gone up and I see things that are not CMS approved for wording, that can be a huge problem for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially when you said that if they're not specific to the insurance industry, or even more, importantly, specific to Medicare, if they don't know what the CMS regulations are like, or there's so many like very, very small details that when you come down to even talking about pricing, like you can't refer to Medicare Part A as free. You have to say that it's a zero premium, because there are people that do still have to buy their Part A because they either weren't qualified, they weren't working and paying into Medicare taxes for a long enough period of time. So it can be really stressful for these agents that are looking for these services from other people who they're pretty much like putting their trust in to be able to help them grow their business. But when in reality, it might actually get them, get their license taken away, which is a scary thought in and of itself, because this is your career. This is your livelihood. This is how you provide for you and your family. But so what did these individual, I'm just going to say agencies, because just for lack of better phrase. So these agencies, what did they do for you? What was the content mix like? Did they provide you with a lot of different diversified content as far as like maybe links, graphics, photos, video?
So, it kind of depended which agency I went with. The problem was we'd sit down, we put together an idea. Here's what we're going to go with. We're going to avoid these things. We're going to go with these things. But then what came out was not at all what we had originally discussed. So for example, it might just be all promoting one insurance company. And as a broker myself, I don't want to only highlight one company.
Yeah.
So the problem with that is it looks like I'm biased in what I'm recommending to clients because I only keep highlighting one company. So that's a problem for me. Just a whole lot of buy. Here's, promote, buy from me. And I really wanted more diversified content that wasn't so just constantly selling.
Yeah. I have a general rule of thumb when it comes to content diversification. For every 6 posts that you have, 3 should be educational. So basically showcasing what you know and your industry expertise. And then 2 should be about you, your personal brand, your company culture. And then only 1 should be promotional or like really salesy. So because when you think about it from the consumer standpoint, like if you're a consumer and you go to somebody's Facebook page and all you see is just like, oh, buy from me. It's like, do you really, as a consumer, do you really want to do that? No, because you're just thinking, oh, this person is just really just trying to make a quick buck off of me. They're not really here for any other purpose other than to just sell me something. So it really does come down to, what does the consumer think of you when they come across your Facebook page and they see all of this content? Like, what is their first opinion of you? And if their first opinion is not that, oh yeah, they seem really educated, they really know what they're talking about. Like, oh, look, they have like a family and all this other stuff. Oh, like, oh, cool, it's their business. You're trying to legitimize yourself, but also showcase your industry knowledge as opposed to just selling stuff. So when they were posting for you, how often were they posting for you? Was it like maybe once or twice a week, or was it a couple times a day?
Well, the problem was it was very sporadic. So one minute, for a week, maybe I should say for a week, you'd have like 5 posts. And the next week or 2, there was nothing.
Oh.
So that was very sporadic. It was like they got a whole lot of content and they just threw it all on there in a week. And then suddenly there was nothing for a month. I kept asking, hey guys, I need some help with content. I cannot come up, send me in a direction, give me something and I'll help you. but it was like we just kept running out of ideas. What type of content should we come up with? And so we kept coming to these blanks where we'd go a month or two with just nothing. So things like that kept happening. And then they'd start, posting links. Okay, here's a link to an article. Well, once again, some of those would be political. Or if they would start posting educational things, but then it started getting away from my industry. Like, here's a good idea for getting in shape. Well, fitness wasn't, it's somewhat in health insurance, you know what I'm saying? It can be kind of related, but if all your posts are about fitness, you start coming across as like a gym. So that's not really going to help me stand out as it won't make my brand stand out as impressive in the agent, my agency impressive,
Because then at a certain point, it'll almost just be really confusing to the consumer as well. Because they're like, wait a second, like if this person's supposed to be an insurance agent, why in the world are they posting a ton of stuff about fitness? Now, granted, even like with Dan's content, I do quite a few posts, here and there about, staying in shape and, different ways for especially seniors to stay healthy and active. Like, oh, here's 10 tips for staying healthy and active, in your later years, or like low impact workouts, things that seniors can actually do. And these things will provide them with value. They're educating them. Like, oh, I could go for a 30-minute walk. I could do, 3 sets of 10 leg lifts just to kind of keep my muscles going and just, improve blood circulation and blood flow. These are the types of things that seniors really need to know about. And these are the things that you're just helping to provide them with the education that they need in order to maintain a healthy lifestyle, even though it's probably all stuff that they already know. But it's different when you have somebody coming from an insurance standpoint saying like, hey, this is how you're going to be able to save money on your healthcare is by staying healthy. The whole point of insurance is to try not to use it. It's there for when you do need it. But for the most part, you're trying really hard to just stay healthy so you don't have to use it. What were they posting as far as like educational content? And did you find that the educational content was valuable for your consumer or your target audience? Do you really feel like it reached the type of person that you want to work with?
That's a really good point, because if you think about who my target audience is and work backwards, I don't feel like a lot of my posting was to the target audience that I was actually looking for. And some of it may have been, but it was just kind of hit and miss. You know what I mean? Because the type of posts that were going up were just not even specific to my industry. Once again, I'm sorry, I feel like I'm repeating things, but the point is, so if we're talking about a gym membership, basically, is what it felt like. The problem with that is it's not very educational as far as how does my health insurance work? What am I going to do if there's an emergency? What am I going to do whenever I need a physical? What's included in that? It wasn't very educational. So those are the kind of things that my agency is all about, educating agents and clients. And that would have made me stand out more exactly the way I want to if I had more educational content.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that being able to position yourself as an insurance agent, or especially as an independent agent, being able to position yourself online as like this fountain of insurance knowledge is something that we kind of like strive for, because after conducting quite a few of these interviews and after doing this podcasting for the last couple of weeks, is that I've realized that the agents that truly care about their clients and the ones that are really succeeding are the ones that do spend most of their time educating. And they are super passionate about making sure that their client really does have the right product and the right sort of policy for them and that's going to work for them and their lifestyle. And if you're not able to convey that online, you're not going to be able to generate those high quality leads online like you would in person if you were to go to like an in-person networking event. The whole point of using social media is to use it as a tool to really get those really great inbound high quality leads. And you're basically putting yourself out there and then attracting an audience of people to you and your business because they want to work with you. Now, speaking of which, so did they ask you to provide any sort of content as far as like photos or videos, anything about like you and your family, or even videos of you educating your audience on maybe like the ABCDs of Medicare and really being able to showcase you and your personal brand?
So no, I did come up with the idea to start putting agents in my office, showcasing them, and each of them having, a bio about themselves and posting photos of them. So we started on that train, but then, it started getting really different. So one person would post one way, one person didn't have time to get professional photos. So then we kind of put unprofessional photos up. So it kind of looked really scattered and not streamlined. It didn't seem like we stuck with a system very well. So I think if we had taken a little more time and put more effort into it, we could have done better. No, as far as video content, things like that, we did not come up with ideas like that.
How long ago, if you don't mind me asking, like when were you receiving these services? Was it within the last like year or two?
Okay, so like last fall, which is my busy season, October, December is my busy season each year. I brought in a new company and they just mainly focused on promoting one company. So that was an issue for me because it was just kind of highlighting only one carrier. And I write with many. It's actually very important to me that my clients don't think that I already have a bias in mind of what I think is going to be best for them. I want to come to the table and represent them and find what's best for them. And I want them to know that that really is what I do. So if I'm only promoting one company on my social media, it's going to look like I have a bias towards that company.
Yeah. And especially, I think it's important to note too, that even at a lot of the time we'll refer to, or I guess I'm not an agent, so I can't refer to myself as an agent, but like I'll refer to, obviously you guys as agents, even though in reality, what you guys truly are brokers. You work for the client and you're just able to provide them with a service as well as education for their healthcare services. Now, when it comes to, being an independent agent, you're obviously contracted with a multitude of insurance companies. You're not beholden to a single one. So as a broker, you're just there to provide the multitude of carrier options to that client. Whereas like an agent is usually the one who will be working for like the carrier and then will promote just that one carrier's products. But so as a broker, you're there to provide them with a multitude of solutions. I mean, granted, yeah, there are some agents out there that maybe are only contracted with maybe like one or two carriers, but that might just be because they're maybe just starting out in the industry. They want to get maybe they're just really passionate about a certain carrier, or maybe that's just because that's just what a lot of their clients had been asking for was that one carrier. So they didn't really feel the need to branch out. But eventually, I think that a lot of agents, as they do develop and grow their business, that they will find that they are going to have to start contracting with a multitude of carriers to be able to offer solutions for everyone to everyone. So what was your communication experience like? If you had asked for something, how quick were they to respond? What was the customer service like?
So often I just never heard back. I would send emails and say, hey, here's the problem. Please take down the political content that you put up. I don't think you understood that in this industry specifically, that's a very controversial topic. I don't think it was intentional, but then it wouldn't get taken down. So I just go in and take it down myself. The problem is now I'm missing content. You know what I'm saying? I'm losing the small content that I had, but sometimes it felt a little thrown together. Like here, I found this, I Googled health insurance and up came this policy, this article. So I post a link and that wasn't really what I was looking for. There wasn't a deeper strategy there. So one time, 2 months went by, I didn't hear back. And so I sent maybe 2 or 3 emails. And so finally, I just kind of gave up and thought, this is probably just not working. And I think one of the problems was when we originally sat down and put together what we were going to do, I had a list of things. I said, don't want a political content. I don't want anything that's not CMS approved regarding Medicare. I'm not even focusing on Medicare right now. So I don't really want Medicare ads. Anything that is Medicare related does need to be CMS approved. And so therefore we have to be very careful with that. Here's what my goal is. Here's my focus. And I said, I really struggle coming up with content. So I need your help finding content. Over the next few months, there was no content that I didn't come up with myself. So I think somehow we just didn't communicate very well.
Yeah. And I think that even as you being able to communicate to them, like, hey, these are the things I want and these are the things I don't want, any person or any entity that is providing somebody with a service definitely needs to take into account what the client wants. Because even I have to, as a strategist myself, I have to flex, even though what I know is going to work and what is right. I do have, 1 or 2 agents that are just like, well, I want it this way. And I'm like, okay, well, whatever you want, you're the expert on the Medicare stuff. I'm just over here just, creating the content for you. But if you want to only do things a certain way, that's totally fine. It's up to you. But yeah, making sure that they're listening to the client is going to be a really important aspect of even their own business in and of itself. But if you don't mind sharing, how much were you paying monthly for these marketing packages?
$190 per
Mhm.
month for someone to post 3 times a week on my Facebook page.
Okay. Yeah. And especially since you were having to go behind them and then delete that content, it's like, at a certain point, you're kind of just like, you might as well take the money out of the wallet and set it on fire, right? Because, you're eventually
Right.
like not getting anything out of it. Yeah.
And it felt like they were just taking an insurance company's picture and posting it. Like there was
Yeah.
hardly any time or effort or thought that went into it. And I probably could have done better myself because I am in the industry. So if I had had the time, maybe I could have come up with more content that was better. Unfortunately, I think one of the biggest problems was that they don't understand my industry.
Yeah, I agree. I think that there are a lot of marketing agencies out there that are really great at what they do, but if they don't fully understand the insurance industry in and of itself, and it's very specifically the Medicare industry, and they don't understand CMS regulations, they're just going to do whatever they think is going to, get people to engage with content and get people to follow your page. And even if that does mean getting controversial, but at the end of the day, because here's the thing, there's no better PR than a little bit of controversy, but at the same time, you're like I said, a one woman and a one man show. You don't want people thinking that you are, politically charged and, because granted, yes, there are some things you might have some beliefs that are just like, I am willing to die on this hill because this is how much I believe in this. And that's fine. If this is a hill that you're willing to die on, go ahead, go post it, because you might be able to get the attention of a couple of people that also feel the same way. But then you also have to know that on the flip side of the same coin, you're going to piss off a lot of other people too. So, but if it doesn't matter to you that you're turning those people away because now you've, let your opinion out, I mean, as long as you're okay with that at the end of the day, cool. But so, Dan, let's go ahead and I want to ask you a couple questions as well. So, Dan was actually my guinea pig in our social media marketing strategy. I was kind of just like, hey, we're starting this new service, but I have so many agents that are asking me about, oh, like, what is this going to bring for me as far as like value? Like, what kind of results am I going to get? And I'm just over here like, it's brand new. Like, we're just launching this now. So I guess I don't really have any sort of like hard numbers for you quite yet. But so Dan was kind enough to let me post to his Facebook and Instagram pages. And we've actually been able to, grow his following on both of those platforms completely ad free. Like we have not spent a penny on ads. It's literally just been strict content marketing and posting strategies at like optimal times. So Dan, if you want to kind of like share your experience with the sort of content that I've been posting for you over the past like 6 or 7 months. Describe to me how your experience has been with having to provide content for me to post for you and the growth that you've seen out of this whole experience.
Well, that's a kind of a big question, but
I'm sorry.
I'll try to do my best here. I'm at a slight disadvantage of you young ladies here in that I didn't grow up on the internet. And so I'm not used to being on social media, not even every day. Even now, I have to confess, I'm not necessarily checking everything every day, but I don't usually let it go more than a couple of days. However, to answer your question, I will say that I'm very happy with the service that Kelsey provides. I mean, I've never had a social media manager before, so I can't really say that I can compare you to anyone else, but I'm well pleased with what you're doing. And, I like the variety of posts. I like the fact that you come up with some content for me, that I'm not, the whole burden of it isn't all on me and on my shoulders. So that's very helpful. That allows me to spend my time and focus my energy on my sales efforts and helping, my clients. So that's very helpful. I like, again, the variety. And I also appreciate how you give me ideas for my own content. That's very helpful. I probably need to be more disciplined in giving you what you ask for, the amount of content. So I'm still in an adjustment period and getting used to it, getting used to getting on there regularly more than just every couple of days. But I do think it's really important in this 21st century that we are in to have a presence, to have a brand, and let people know, hey, I'm a real person too. I do fun stuff. I do family stuff. besides just all work, 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 and sell, 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 sell. I like a lot what Lisa was saying as far as I don't really want my content to constantly be sell, 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 buy, buy, buy. I think what we as agents are doing out here, and I've sold a lot of different things in my life. Okay. I sold cars, I sold furniture, I sold security systems, I sold Kirby vacuums way back in the day. This business really isn't that much sales skills involved. Okay.
Yeah, a lot of it is more focused on education.
Yeah. And so that's what your content should be too. I feel that different experiences, maybe client stories and experiences, just educating. I mean, the Medicare system is quite complicated. Health insurance in general, as we all know, quite complicated. Most people don't want to mess with it. Some people don't even go to the doctor when they should because they don't want to have to worry about somebody messing up their claim. I mean, we all have the horror stories out there, like somebody eating a deli sandwich and getting a seed stuck in their cheek. Go to the urgent care and, that'll work itself out in a couple of days. But, hey, you haven't had an EKG in 12 years. You're having an EKG. They put him on the EKG. Oh, my God, you're having a heart attack. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. You're going to the hospital in the ambulance. He goes to the hospital. Wow. His wife takes him to the hospital, and he spends the night, and they give him tests, and everything's fine. He goes home the next day, and a little while later, I don't know how long it was, several weeks probably, he got a bill for $10,000.
Yep. It's important to educate your clients through social media about like what you know about the industry and what their options are. But then once you actually are able to meet with them and sitting down with them for an appointment, you're really educating them on the differences between co-payments and co-insurance, because there's a huge difference between a copay and co-insurance, but not a lot of people know it because these are all like terms that we've all heard before, but we've never really fully had to understand before until you actually go into the doctor's office and then you get that bill back and you're like, oh my goodness, like why in the world is this so much more expensive? Like why in the world am I even paying for insurance if I'm still having to pay this, that, and the other as far as bills? So to a lot of people can become really frustrating if they don't understand what their deductibles are and, how much money they are going to end up having to spend before they start seeing the insurance company cover anything and what is considered a preventative service, what other sort of benefits are embedded into the plan that they can use in order to get other things for free, or even if they're qualified for a D-SNP plan. These are a lot of things that, people need to be educated on because a lot of the times they just aren't. And they'll either go through marketplace coverage or they end up, unfortunately kind of getting scammed by maybe some either like other entities that, maybe don't have that client's best interest at heart. And they're really just in it just for the sale. They're not there to actually help improve that person's life.
Yeah, which makes our lives harder, right,
yeah.
Lisa? So I am very excited about what the future holds with promoting my brand through the social media sites and our partnership with MAD and Kelsey. It gives you an easy outlet to help teach your clients and coach your clients. So I look forward to, the rest of this year and the future of better utilizing this tool to do that. And because really what we are is we're in the relationship building business.
Yes.
It's a very intimate part of people's life, their health and their health insurance. And so, again, it's a blessing to me for folks that trust me to help them with all of that. Sometimes it's just little things that you can share with them that helps them get the benefits they need, how to utilize their benefits. And that helps their quality of life. Yeah, social media, valuable tool.
I mean, I was just going to say that if I were to meet a new agent out on the street and they were looking into social media marketing services, and maybe they weren't particularly interested in hiring marketing advisors direct to do their social media, these are the questions I would tell them to ask an agency that was going to be providing them with social media marketing services. Number one is how many posts per week are they going to get? And number two is going to be what is their content diversification like? If they don't know what content diversification is, it's probably because they haven't done any sort of research into social media strategy. So I automatically, again, would not hire them. And then I would also make sure that they know the 3 E's of social media marketing as well, which is educate, entertain, or encourage. For every 6 posts that you make to social media, I feel like I've said this like a million times now in regards to social media marketing and all the podcast episodes that we've done so far on this, is that for every 3 posts that you make, 3 should be educational, 2 should be about you and your company culture, and then 1 should be promotional, saying like, hey, buy from me. And a good majority of the content that I produce for Dan is really educational. Like a lot of the graphics that we do are mostly educational. I'll usually just go through like a certain topic. Like, so for March was Multiple Sclerosis Awareness Month. So I kind of used that as like a baseline of what to create content around. And then I started doing some research in like, what are the certain ailments that go into developing multiple sclerosis? What sort of people end up developing multiple sclerosis in their lifetime? And how is it that you can utilize your health insurance in order to have yourself live a more healthy life and to maybe perhaps even avoid developing this ailment over the course of your lifetime. So being able to use that as a basis to educate the audience. And then a lot of the more entertaining sort of content is what I'll ask Dan to provide for me. And I try to get a little bit more fun with it as well, because Dan is just like, Dan, you're just like you're like the cool uncle. You know what I mean? Like he's just like the one that comes to the party. I say it all the time, like, oh, if you're the agent that's going to be, wearing the board shorts and flip flops, making margaritas with the clients in their kitchen, like that's fine. And I'm like, that's kind of what Dan reminds me of. He's the agent that's, making the margaritas in the kitchen in his board shorts and flip flops, because he's just like, a fun, easygoing, party time guy, but he's also there to help you through your struggles, which is great. Being able to showcase your personal brand online has been really fun for me as well, because you started going to the gym and, you sent me a couple like pictures and videos of you like starting your fitness program. And I had even made a caption that was like, oh, like, put in the comments below if you know the rest of the lyrics to the song. And I was posting the lyrics to Fergalicious by Fergie, where it's like, I'll be up in the gym, just working on my fitness. And I also put at the bottom, like, let me know if you had to Google or ask your kids what song this was. And that post got so much more engagement than any sort of educational post about Medicare. And it's because people want to see that type of stuff. They don't want to just see insurance. They want to see stuff about you. They want to get to know you. They want to get to know what's going on in your life, what you like to do, your hobbies, your interests, because that's something that they can connect with you on as well. Because when you go in for an appointment, especially talking about something that, let's just kind of say it, that insurance can be kind of boring and sometimes even daunting to most people. So by the time that you get somebody in front of you and you're sitting down either in their kitchen, or if you have like a brick and mortar agency, when they're coming in, sitting down with you in your office, what sort of comfort level do you want that person to be at? And do you already want them to feel like they're more educated about all of their options? So by the time that you're actually sitting in front of them, they know really what they're looking for. You have a better idea of what they're looking for. And they also feel more connected to you as well. You don't feel like you have to go through the big old icebreaker process, that kind of like awkward, sort of like almost like a first date feeling. So when you've already showcased a good majority of your personal brand online, it kind of breaks down that wall. So by the time that you're sitting down in front of them, you're much more trusted in their eyes. And any sort of recommendation that you have to give to them, they're like, oh, well, I had looked at this other plan or this other carrier, but I'm going to trust you in your recommendation because you're the expert.
Yeah, no doubt, Kelsey. And I build my business mainly off of referrals. And when I was approached by Kelsey to do the social media marketing, we spoke for about 2 hours straight on the phone, just so you could get to know me, right?
Yeah.
And I had been operating for 2.5 years, just as Daniel Greer. I actually came from working for Insurance Advisors Direct at the FMO there. And my boss, Jason McClellan, for those of you that don't know, he allowed me to help customers on my own time. And so for 3 years as a recruiter and trainer for Insurance Advisors Direct, recruiting and training agents all over the country and doing my own thing on my own time, I built up my personal book of business to where I was being torn in two different directions. And even though I loved working for Jason at Insurance Advisors Direct, it was time for me to go on the field full time. And so when I did that, he allowed me to continue using my business card from the brokerage in exchange to train agents occasionally as needed. But I had always been thinking about what I would name my business. So Kelsey and I had been speaking for almost 2 hours, and I said, well, gosh, I suppose if I'm going to do this, I have to name my business, right? And I said, well, I've been thinking about this a while, Kelsey. And I always imagined I would name my business DTM Insurance, etc. Oh, and what did you say?
Dan the Man, Insurance, etc.
No, you said what's DTM stand for, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I said, Dan the Man, Insurance, etc. And she goes, oh my God, you got to call it that. That's wonderful. That's cool. It's fun. And so probably the biggest thing for me was just solidifying my brand. My slogan there that I gave at the top, that's the way I do my business and have been doing it for literally the whole time I've been doing all of this. And so, but it just helps me to solidify my brand. I'm actually doing a little bit more advertising. I haven't really had to advertise. I mean, I've done a little bit, different marketing techniques and so forth. But now I have my own brand. And as you can see on my shirt, I don't know how well you can see that.
Yeah, we can see the little right below the lapel there. You got your logo going on.
Yep. And I have shirts and hats now. And, well, you got to have a nice polo and a hat when you're out on the golf course anyways. So that was it's really been a blessing. And my customers enjoy it. They like my business name and everything. And really, it is who I am. I'm just a down-to-earth, regular person. I love people. I love helping people. So that was a big benefit for me. And I just kind of wanted to share that because you
awesome.
helped me with that, Kelsey. And
that's cool. I'm glad that I was able to kind of help you step into your personal brand, because when any sort of like small business owner, any agent, any broker that feels like this is who they are in real life should also be who they are in their business as well. You can't be like the margaritas, type of broker, but then show up wearing like the 3-piece suit. It's
right.
It just doesn't. Your brand, your business brand, and your personal brand, like who you are in real life, they should be in a marriage. They should be in a relationship. But if they're not, then it can be kind of difficult to try to get that to come across in real life to your clients as well. So other questions that agents can ask of different marketing agencies when they're thinking about doing a social media marketing package would be to, again, if they're going to be creating posts that will target a niche market of consumers. So one of the things that I did to develop our social media marketing strategy here for Marketing Advisors Direct was to have the agent come up with 4 audience personas. Give them a name, give them an age, where do they live, how much disposable income do they have, what sort of like hobbies and activities do they have, what are they interested in, and then what are their pain points, because you should be able to solve their pain points with what you do in their business. But the reason why we kind of ask for all of this other information is to be able to create imagery that's going to speak to this niche market of people that even though you might sell Medicare products, granted, that means that you're targeting an audience of people turning 65 or maybe, a little bit older than that as well, but you still have a type of person that you want to work with. You have a certain type of person that you're trying to help, because there's not a single business on this entire planet that has enough time, money, and resources in order to market to everyone. You can help everyone, but you can't market to everyone. The next question that I would be asking is what type of messaging that they would be using in order to reach the target audience, and would it encompass their personal brand? So there's such a thing as called using an active voice versus a passive voice. So that's something that you want to make sure that they're doing for you as well, is to make sure that they're also going to be consistent in their messaging as well as posting as well. So like Lisa said, they would post for maybe about 2 weeks and then they would drop off the planet for like another month. The key to social media success is to be consistent. And if you're not consistent in your posting strategy, it's really not going to go anywhere, because it's not going to help you grow. That's the reason why, like with a couple of our different marketing packages, the minimum number of posts that we'll do in a week is 3 posts. We have packages that go up to 7 posts a week. But, do I think that it's necessary to post every single day? I mean, there are benefits to it, but at the end of the day, do I think that it's completely necessary in order to just provide legitimacy and a sense of not accountability,
Consistency?
credibility. Okay.
Credibility.
Yeah. So being able to provide credibility for your business page as well is really what the most important thing is. Granted, like, yeah, you can become discoverable as well by posting 7 days a week, but at that point, it's a lot of time and it's very tedious as well. Facebook is not so bad, but when it comes to posting 7 days a week on other platforms, like maybe even like TikTok, it can be really tedious and time consuming because it's all video. So it just takes a lot of time in order to produce that video content. Not really so much on like graphics or photos, but it's really comes down to like the video editing that can take a lot of time. And then making sure that you have someone who, even though you spoon feed them scripts for their videos, still takes a while to get them to insert them into the Google Drive. Dan. But yeah, it can become a lot, and especially since you guys are, it's not like you guys are content creators, you're insurance agents, you might not always have the time to, be an insurance influencer, but that's essentially what we're trying to do here is kind of create for you guys this persona of an insurance influencer. Another question that I would ask is if they had a posting strategy in order to optimize posts. So making sure that they're posting at the correct times, either whatever time that your audience is most active while they're online, or if they're posting at whatever is considered like the global standard for optimized times to post. Another question that I would ask would be the tagging strategy. Oh my goodness, I almost fell out of my chair last year when I had an agent that I was doing an audit of their social media profiles and noticed that all of the content that they were posting there, it wasn't necessarily educational in nature. I mean, like it was kind of like, like little tidbits and little nuggets of information, but it wasn't necessarily helpful to an audience in the general public. And on top of that, they didn't even use hashtags. I was like, what do you mean? Like hashtags are the simplest way in order to get a larger audience of viewers to be able to see your content, because a hashtag is kind of like almost using it like a folder. Think of it as like a digital folder. So when you use the hashtag Medicare in any post that you make on social media, that hashtag is now linked from your social media post, and then it essentially puts it into like a digital folder on that platform. So whatever platform that you're using, whether it be Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, Twitter, whatever, it kind of helps put it into that folder. So that then when people are looking through that Medicare folder or that group of hashtags online, they're going to be able to see your content more easily. And there was no like location tag strategy as well. I always make sure to use the location tag of wherever that agent is located. So for example, with Dan's content, I always tag Jackson, Michigan, because that's where he's located. So if there ever is somebody who comes across his content, is like, oh, this guy's from Jackson. I live pretty close to there. I should give him a call, or whatever the case may be. Or even if it's somebody who's from Indiana or Florida, Tennessee, wherever, they can say like, oh, okay, I at least know where this person is. Like it kind of gives you a better sense of relativity to your audience, whether it be geographically or even like emotionally. They could be like, oh yeah, I had an aunt that lived in Jackson. That's cool. Yeah. So it kind of just helps with being able to, again, categorize that content as well and being able to show people where you are. And then another big thing is I would ask them if their content strategy is CMS compliant, because as you guys know, again, as Medicare agents, obviously there are tons of things that can be considered non-compliant to CMS. And one of the most important things that you want to do in your posting strategy is making sure that you're more promoting you as opposed to the products or the carriers, because there are tons of obviously different like Medicare options or healthcare insurance options out there. But what you're really trying to do is trying to get this audience of consumers to work with you as opposed to anyone else. So again, as long as you're educating and showcasing your personal brand, it really doesn't matter what carriers that you have in your back pocket, because then you're better able to make those recommendations for them and they trust you no matter what, because they already feel like they know you from looking at your stuff online. And then also I would ask, what platforms will they be posting to on your behalf? Just because obviously with the higher number of platforms, it's probably going to come with a higher ticket price. So just making sure that you are fully educated on how many posts they're going to be making for you and what platforms they'll be posting to. And then also I would ask if they would be handling the inbound engagement as well as outbound engagement. So what we do here at Marketing Advisors Direct is more considered content marketing, because social media marketing is very much this like umbrella blanket term when there's lots of different types of social media marketing, one being content marketing. So content marketing is, again, showcasing the agent's industry knowledge, their company culture, and then maybe doing doing a little bit of promoting. That in and of itself is more like your content marketing. Whereas like your inbound engagement is responding to comments and messages and stuff like that. And I won't be held responsible for responding to your messages or to your comments, because if there's ever a client that is sending you messages or commenting on any of your posts, I want to make sure that if you do end up booking an appointment with them, that they're not going to be like, oh yeah, do you remember we were talking on Facebook about this? And then have you be like, no, I don't remember that. Then it kind of, again, loses your credibility. And then they kind of start to lose a little bit more trust in you. So I always want to make sure that our agents are fully aware that they should be responding to comments and messages on all of their platforms. As far as the outbound engagement would be more like joining like those Facebook groups and then putting your information out there, which I don't recommend always just like joining a Facebook group, busting down the door and being like, hi, my name is John and I sell insurance, because nobody really wants that. You do have to kind of strategize in a sense of that you want to build relationships with those people outside of your Facebook business page. So that would be more considered like your outbound engagement, or even doing things like sending out direct mail or cold calling, things like that. Those are more considered like outbound marketing strategies. And then the last question that I would ask to any agency that would be providing social media marketing would be, how long would it be before I expect to see the desired results? Now, this is kind of a loaded question, because there are lots of different ways that you can consider experiencing social media marketing success for your business. A lot of that can be like, okay, well, how many leads am I going to generate? How many client bookings and appointments am I actually going to have? It doesn't matter if my Facebook following has increased by X number of people over the course of a certain period of time. Obviously, as agents and brokers, you guys want to, measure your success based on the number of appointments and then the number of appointments that you close on. So that in itself can be considered success. But for me, the content marketing is more to provide the broker with credibility on their page and to legitimize their business. Whereas the actual like lead generation part comes in the form of doing a little bit more of like that outbound strategy in terms of going out there and like joining Facebook groups, meeting people, talking to people, and just overall engaging with them. And that is really what is going to bring you the most success when it comes to social media marketing. Okay, guys, it is shameless plug time. I would like to thank you guys both so much for sitting down with me and talking with me about social media marketing and really just like sharing your experiences of what this has been like for the both of you. And I'm very sad to hear that these entities weren't really giving you what you needed in your business. But Dan, I'm very excited to hear that you've been really enjoying working with me and with Mad. So that's awesome. Let's go ahead and tell the audience where they can find you if they are looking to either follow you on social media, or if they want to contact you, how can they do that?
Okay. So I originally started my business as Win Health Insurance. And so my website is winhealthinsurance.com. But last year I wanted to broaden my abilities to offer more. I mean, I have been offering more than just health insurance over the last few years. So I wanted to capture that in my agency name. So I also purchased the domain winagency.com. And so I've been working to rebrand myself. My Facebook page is still facebook.com/Win Health Insurance. But I have changed the page to Win Agency. So I'm slowly rebranding myself there.
Awesome. And then Dan, where can people find you?
Well, as I said earlier, on Facebook or Instagram, it's all lowercase, Dan the Man Insurance ETC. And if you want to call or email me, I don't really have a standalone website, but I'm happy to give my phone number is 517-787-4607. Call or text. And my email is danielpgreer@yahoo.com.
Awesome. Well, guys, again, thank you so much for joining me on this episode of the Direct Insurance Podcast, otherwise known as DIP. And I would like to give a special thanks to anybody who's out there listening. You can listen to this podcast on Tuesdays when the podcast goes live on all of the podcasting audio platforms. And if you want to watch this podcast on our YouTube channel, you can do so on Wednesdays, the day after the podcast airs. If you are an insurance agent looking to partner with an FMO, we here at IAD would love to be considered. You can visit our website, www.iadbrokerage.com, or you can even call us toll free, 1-800-381-0977. If you're not really quite ready yet and you want to sniff us out, please follow us on social media. We are on Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, and again, YouTube. Thank you so much again to Dan and Lisa for joining me today. It was lovely having you guys, and I hope to see you guys and hear from you all soon.
All right.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Kelsey.
Bye.